told my mom that she can't share a room or a bed with her boyfriend in my home. When I, 27 female, was in college, I met my boyfriend and we moved in together, sharing a place with some friends, after dating for a year. I was 19 when we met and 20 when we moved in together. We decided from that point onward to take turns spending Christmas with our families. But the first year we were supposed to see mine, my mom made it clear that my boyfriend could not stay and we weren't sharing a room or bed in her house. My dad argued in favor of letting it happen since I was an adult and living with him already, but my mom said no. She hated that I wouldn't stay at their house then and instead booked an Airbnb. She said I should respect the rules of her house and I told her I was, but I didn't want to tell my boyfriend to be alone on the holidays and especially when his family had welcomed us together happily. After that, I made it clear there would be no coming to visit like that if I couldn't sleep with my boyfriend. My mom said it wasn't like we were married, so she had every right to that rule. 2 years ago, my dad died, and for 11 months, my mom has been in a relationship with her boyfriend. They don't live together exactly, but according to my brother, he was there most nights while he was still there. My mom and brother aren't really talking right now. My brother could hear mom and her boyfriend in bed, and he hated it, so he moved out. He's also 22 and wanted to, but it gave him the push to move. My mom was furious and demanded to know why he was leaving out of nowhere, and she freaked when my brother told her he was tired of hearing them. It started mom off on him not being happy for her that she found someone again after dad died. My mom seems to be missing my brother being around, and she told me that she misses having her kids around her, so she wanted to visit for a week or two soon. She wanted to bring her boyfriend along, and I told her that she can't share a room or bed with him in my home. I told her I do not want to hear that. She got mad at me and said she's a grown woman and should be allowed her freedom. I told her she was alright denying it to me when I wasn't even planning on having sex in her house. But it sounded like she doesn't care if we hear her or not, and I'm not dealing with it. I also told her that I wasn't going to reward her with sharing with her boyfriend when she has been so strict with me about it. My mom accused me of acting like a petty child. So, am I in the wrong? Would I be in the wrong if I move out of our apartment knowing my fiance and his mom can't afford it without me? I'm 29 female and my fiance, maybe ex, 27 male, have been living together for about 1.5 years. Fiance got his undergraduate degree, worked for a couple years, and then decided to get an MBA, which is how he ended up in our city. We moved in together after he finished his MBA program. Fiance is from the Midwest and his mom has always wanted him to move back. When he told her he was staying here, she was heartbroken. I went to college and got my degree in the STEM field. After I graduated, I got a job with my current company and moved to the city where we currently live. It's a big international company with multiple locations in the US and international. I love my job, I like the company that I work for, and the pay is pretty good. All in all, a pretty good deal. During COVID, my office shut down and we all went work from home. After COVID, they decided not to reopen the offices, so I've been 100% work from home since early 2020. I currently make considerably more than him, mainly because I've been working for 7 years and I'm in tech. I had been living by myself in a 1-bedroom apartment and just had my office set up in the living room since it was just me. When we moved in together, we decided to get a 2-bedroom apartment so I could use the extra room as an office. Because of this, I was paying 2/3 of the rent and he paid 1/3. We split everything else 50-50. So the problem started this past May. Fiance's mom told him that she wanted to move to our city to be closer to him. She asked if she could stay with us while she looked for a job and got settled. She's a teacher, so I figured she'd be able to get a teaching job pretty quickly. Because of that, I didn't really mind her staying with us, as I figured it would just be for a couple months over the summer. Since I thought it would be only for a couple months, I moved my office into the corner of our bedroom and my fiance bought a bed to put in the second bedroom. The problem is, she never applied for any teaching positions and has been living with us for 6 months now. She and I have really been struggling with each other since she moved in. I can't make her understand that I work full time. She constantly interrupts me while I'm working, which is bad enough, but she even interrupts when I'm on Teams calls. She always asks me to take her places because she doesn't like to drive in our city. She has pretty outdated views of gender roles and is constantly giving me a hard time for not doing more around the house and making my fiance help with chores, do his own laundry, etc. The constant criticism and insults are just really wearing me down, and I hate having my office shoved in the corner of the bedroom. Back in September, I told my fiance that since it looks like his mom is going to stay a while, we should split the rent 3 ways. He told me that she can't afford that since she has to conserve money until she gets a job. I told him I wasn't happy paying for an extra bedroom that I can't use, so he finally said that we could do 50-50 split. I could afford to pay the extra, but I hate the idea of funding her lifestyle. Every time I complain about her or the situation, he says he agrees but doesn't know what to do because he can't kick his mom out. And he won't talk to her about the way that she treats me or how she behaves. When I ask what the long-term plan is, he just says he doesn't know. I've thought about giving him an ultimatum or tell her that she has to leave, but I think he just ended up resenting me for essentially putting his mom out on the street. So one of my girlfriends is losing her roommate at the end of February. Our lease renews June 1st. I'm very strongly considering moving out of our current apartment and moving in with her. I can afford to pay my part of the rent on our current apartment and also half of the rent at my friend's apartment. It's not ideal, but I'm not a big spender, so it's doable. The issue is, if he and his mom aren't able to pay 1/3 of the rent each, there is no way that they could cover the whole thing on their own. But I can't live like this anymore, so I'm pretty sure this is what I'll do, but I wanted to see if I'm in the wrong for leaving them like this. Am I in the wrong for not helping my sister who became homeless just after she gave birth to her and my soon-to-be ex-husband's baby? My sister 24 and I 26 were really close our whole lives, and we moved away from our parents together when she was 18 and I was 20. I met my soon-to-be ex-husband here and we got married and my sister stayed close. We spent a lot of time together. Then a few months ago, I learned that my sister was pregnant and my husband was the father. I ended my marriage to him immediately and I told my sister that I wanted nothing more to do with her and she was on her own. I had some of her stuff at my place and left it at my ex's place for her. For the rest of the pregnancy, they were living together and then he wouldn't let her back in after the baby was born. She called our parents from the hospital and told them that she had nowhere to go, that he was looking for custody and didn't want her back, and I wasn't answering her calls. So they called me, and after I heard them explain what was going on, I told them that it wasn't my problem. They tried to argue, but I wasn't having any of it. She got a place at a shelter for single parents, and she's still there several weeks on. With the custody dispute, she can't move back to our parents, and I'm still refusing to help her out. My parents are angry because I won't even take her calls or reply to any messages she sent. I actually blocked her because I know that she wouldn't stop. My parents don't know that part, but they're telling me that I should be ashamed of myself for turning my back on her and the baby. I told my parents that I owe her and the baby nothing. I told them it was just a shame that she didn't choke on his D when they were sleeping together behind my back. My parents call me disgusting for leaving them homeless, that I have a room and could help. So, am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong for not allowing my ex and former best friend to take my kids out of state for a week to heal and recover after she was unable to have children? I have 2 children under 12 with my ex. We divorced 5 years ago after I found out that he and my former best friend were having an affair. They both tried to apologize and asked for it not to ruin everything, but their actions had already ruined everything. I hate the 2 of them. I no longer care about how they're doing, but for my kids' sake, I remain civil. I have never badmouthed them to my kids. I have never told my kids what happened. I would never want my kids to be harmed more by their father's actions than they already were. And the divorce was tough for them, and they had a hard time coming to terms with the changes. They still need therapy for some adjustment issues that have remained. My former best friend hasn't helped either by trying to continue on as best friends despite her actions. It also didn't help that the kids went from their parents living together to their dad living with their mom's former friend. But again, my primary focus has been my children. I love my kids more than I hate those 2 repulsive individuals. I love my kids more than myself, which is why I work so hard to be civil in front of my kids, because the last thing that I wanted was to make nice with them. But my kids love their dad, and that has never changed. My ex and this woman are now married, and they try to have children together. In December, she had her 10th miscarriage, and she had to be rushed to the hospital and into surgery, which left her unable to get pregnant again. I got a call from my ex texting me all of this and asking me to bring the children to the hospital to stay until she was ready to leave. It was my parenting time, so I told him that I would not bring them to sit and wait. He was very unsettled and told me to bring the kids, and he'd get them to ask me to let them stay. I told him that wasn't happening. He made no more contact after that, and he didn't take the kids for his parenting time either or contact me about it. His mom reached out, and she told me that he had refused to leave the hospital. He didn't see them until his parenting time came around again, and she was released. There was a new tension in the air at that point. He was furious with me for keeping the kids from sitting vigil in the hospital with him. Now we have another dilemma that's become an issue. My ex booked a healing getaway for them, and they want the kids to go along. It happens to be during my week, and it's a school week. He also wants to take his weeks as normal before and after that, so he would have them for 3 consecutive weeks. From what he stated, he would potentially keep them out of school for that long so the kids can be there to help her recover and grieve knowing she has them. That's how he explained it to me. I said no, and I explained that I was not letting him take them out of school for a week just for her. I told him the kids are not their emotional support to get them through this, and therapy is significantly better. I told him I didn't approve of them missing extended school time period, but I wasn't giving up my week for it. He tried to say that the week he missed should be made up for, but our court-ordered parenting plan states that if a parent voluntarily doesn't take their week without an agreed-upon make-up period, then the other doesn't need to give up a week in return. I pointed this out to him, and he asked me how I could be so by the book about this. He said human decency would say that I should be willing to put aside our differences at a time like this, and that school isn't more important than family. He asked me how I would feel if she ends her life because of this, and my refusal was part of the reason why. I told him that I wouldn't feel anything. I said they lost all of their rights for me to feel something for them when they betrayed me, and I would not be manipulated into agreeing. He's pushing very hard for this and trying to guilt me into agreeing. I know I might be overly harsh in my response to this, so am I in the wrong? I told my wife to stop treating her sister so badly after her sister confessed to having feelings for me. My wife and I have been married for 10 years and together for 12. We have 2 children. My sister-in-law, Jenna, is a single mom as her husband sadly passed away 7 years ago. When Jenna's husband passed away, my wife and I provided support for Jenna and her daughter because it was a really traumatic time for them. Over the years, my wife and I spent a lot of time over at Jenna's house, and she would also come over to our house. I also developed a really strong bond with my niece. My wife, my children, and I had a really strong connection with Jenna and her daughter, and we were a really tight-knit group. That was until a few months ago when Jenna confessed something to both me and my wife. We were all drunk and having a good time, and Jenna kind of just blurted out that she developed feelings for me. I was shocked, and Jenna just burst out in tears and said a lot of things like how she was really grateful I was a father figure to her daughter. I don't really remember too much from that night, except that my wife kicked Jenna out of our house after that. My wife and I had to talk about it the next day, and my wife was obviously not happy at all. She said that she had suspected this for years, the way Jenna was acting around me, and she couldn't believe how Jenna betrayed her like that. My wife said that we should cut off all contact with Jenna, and I did accept it. My wife told me to block Jenna, which I did. However, I feel like this whole arrangement has been a bit harsh, especially towards my niece. My niece has been texting me a lot, and I've showed my wife the text, telling her it was unfair that we were punishing our niece too. My wife told me it was a consequence of Jenna's actions. However, last night, when my niece sent a really long and sad text about how she and her mom were feeling, I felt really bad and had to talk about it with my wife. I told my wife to stop treating Jenna and her daughter so badly, especially after they both went through a traumatic time. I told my wife it was wrong what Jenna did, but at least have some sympathy. I told her to imagine if she were in Jenna's shoes and then one night tragically lost me. That would scar her for a lifetime. However, my wife got really sad after I said that and just broke down in tears. She didn't say anything except that she loved me, and she didn't speak to me for the rest of the night. I do feel guilty about what I said. I didn't intend to make my wife feel like this. So, was I in the wrong? My girlfriend's parents surprised me with a visit overseas. I'm considering breaking up with her because of it. I'm 28 and my girlfriend is 33. We've been together for a few years and have discussed getting married. Unfortunately, ever since I met her parents last year, their behavior, specifically her mom, has made it difficult for me to see a future anymore. Her mom mistrusts me, and it's all based on superficial impressions and assumptions about who she thinks I am. I have tried to show her parents patience, and I've been extremely respectful, giving them opportunities to get to know me and overcome their prejudices. Everything came to a head when I went to visit my home country. I have a place here and I came to see a friend get married. Her parents showed up unannounced and requested a ride from the airport. I immediately called my girlfriend despite the time difference because I was in shock. She claims she had no idea about their plans. They claim it was all impromptu, / cheap flight, / last minute, etc. I just don't buy it. Anyway, I picked them up and they're currently staying with me in my apartment. They've got no itinerary but want me to arrange them to see XYZ, and of course they need me as a translator. Everything is apparently too foreign to them. They refuse to go anywhere without me as an escort. My girlfriend is apologetic, but I just don't see her supporting me in dealing with her parents, especially her mom, who is an instigator. The dad has no backbone and is forced to follow her. My girlfriend doesn't support me in setting boundaries, so as her partner, I fall into a rock and a hard place type of situation. I can't tell if I'm being cold and uninviting, or if these people are crazy and my girlfriend is so afraid of them that she didn't even warn me about something like this. I feel like I can handle anything if she's on my side, but it doesn't feel like she is. And maybe I can't be with someone like that. What should I do? Am I in the wrong for refusing to thank my sister-in-law because she had to babysit her own kids? I'm 22 female and my brother 35 male surprised me 6 months ago by planning a trip to Scotland for my birthday. He knew I've never traveled before and wanted to take me to my dream country. Due to tight finances, it was just the two of us, which I was okay with since at the time, him and I were close. For context, my brother is married and has 2 kids under 6. His wife, 34 female, said that she was happy for me and didn't mind holding down the fort for a week while we're on the trip. Her and I have never been close and quite frankly just tolerate each other for the sake of keeping the peace. She's never been a fan of how close my siblings are with each other. It all comes down to growing up in different family dynamics in my opinion. Anyway, the trip was amazing and I loved every second of it. I was on such a high when we came back that I thank my brother so many times for doing this for me until he told me to shut up. I thought everything was good and we resumed our lives normally. Imagine my surprise when I get a text 3 days after coming back from my sister-in-law, telling me off and calling me rude and ungrateful because I didn't send her a text thanking her for babysitting on her own and having to do everything around her house for a whole week while I had fun with her husband. Yup, that's exactly how she worded it. I was flabbergasted. This is the same woman who smiled and told me to have fun on my trip, and now she's berating me for not thanking her and doing me a favor by taking care of her own kids for a week? Am I crazy, or is that totally irrational and just weird? I told her that I'm not sure taking care of your own children is babysitting or doing someone else a favor, and she blew up at me calling me a terrible ungrateful brat and that I never show appreciation for anything. I was so confused by all of this and called my brother, but he doubled down and told me that the trip wouldn't have been possible had she not volunteered to take care of their kids so that we can have fun and I should be thanking her for doing it for me. I was and still am confused on why I need to thank a mother for taking care of her own kids. Anyway, to keep the peace, I told her thanks for doing it, but she decided I wasn't being sincere and convinced my brother to go low contact with me. My siblings and my mom were confused by all of this, but kept telling me to just bite my tongue and not stir the pot any further. But now I'm just hurt and confused. My relationship with my brother has been strained since, and it's taking a toll on me. I just need outside opinions because I'm genuinely confused on whether or not I'm the a-hole in this whole mess.